Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm doing my what I read this week and what I'm looking to read next week video. So this week was a really good week for me in the end. I read 3 books and 3 graphic novels, and I'm really pleased with that. My daughter's got the flu and hasn't been very well, and so there's been a lot of sitting around watching Frozen, and unfortunately there's only so much Frozen I can watch, and so thankfully the Kindle app on my iPhone has been a bit of a lifesaver and meant that I've read maybe a little bit more than I was planning to. She's feeling much better now, which is good, and yeah, so let me talk to you about what I read this week. The first book I read was a long anticipated read, and I read this with Jenny King from the channel Jenny King as a buddy read, and that is Inda by Sherwood Smith. We were both really excited about reading this book, and I'm really sad because it just wasn't for me. I really wanted to enjoy it. Sam from Novels and Nonsense loves this series, and I really wanted to like it. I just think for me it was just too slow. I'm used to fast-paced books, books that pull you through really quickly with like fast action-packed plots. That seems to be the type of book that I enjoy, and this one, I can, it's a well-written book and I can see why other people might enjoy it, but I just think it wasn't for me because of the slow pace and not enough action and not enough things happening. Also, I found the names very confusing. Everyone in this world has names, and then these names are changed during wartime, and then they're also changed when they get nicknames, and then they're changed again, and I found it a little bit hard at times to keep up with who was who. I'm really hoping that this isn't suggesting that epic fantasy isn't for me, because I have tried a few recently and I haven't enjoyed them as much as I hope to, but I'm going to keep trying because not every book in every genre is going to be for me, but that doesn't mean I should write off the whole genre, so I'm going to try some more. But unfortunately this one just didn't pull me through enough. One of the other things that I struggled with in this book is it's got an omniscient narrator, and that meant that it could change characters a lot, like halfway through a page, and I felt that that pulled me out of the story a little bit. I debated after finishing this, and I have to say I'm not sure I would have finished it had it not been for buddy reading it with Jenny King and feeling like I should give it a good shot because it is a big book. I debated what to give this as a rating, and unfortunately I don't feel I can give it more than 2 because it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. After that I was feeling a little bit low because I wanted to enjoy it so much and I had such high anticipation, high expectations, and so I felt like maybe reading some graphic novels just to sort of get myself feeling it again. And it was at this point that I decided that I was going to take part in the Read-O-Rama readathon which was going on, and for that there were 7 challenges, and I'm going to do my wrap up of that now, although I may hit one more of the challenges. I'm going to wrap that up as I go along and tell you the books that I managed to read. So the first book that I managed to read was would actually fit with the Read-O-Rama, and that was Miss Marvel. I really enjoyed this. It's a really good story. It's really good diverse book. It's about Kamala Khan, and she becomes the new Miss Marvel, and it's just about her getting to grips as a Muslim girl with the expectations on her from family and from society, and it's just about her coping with her new superpowers, and I really enjoyed it. It was a good start to a new series, so I gave this one 4 stars. Then on the graphic novel kick I moved on to The Wicked and the Divine, and again I enjoyed this, although not quite as much as Miss Marvel. There was bits of it that I found a bit confusing. I didn't feel it gave you enough meat in the story, and I would have liked just a little bit more from this, so I gave this one 3 stars. And then the final graphic novel I read, which was the one that I'd picked for my diverse book, because it has a Croatian artist, although I could use Miss Marvel, was Ghosted. This is a crime horror story, and basically the idea is that Jackson T. Winters is a criminal. He's a con man and a thief, and he is tasked with the job of stealing a ghost from a haunted house. But there is much more to it than that, and it was just a really good read. It's quite dark. I'd say it was sort of a crime crime horror, although I didn't find it very scary and I'm not good with horror, but I really enjoyed this and I gave it 4 stars. And then the final book that I read this week and finished was Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and I read this with my friend Lauren on Goodreads as a buddy read, and because this book is split into 4 parts, we decided we would read one part every day and update each other via Goodreads, and I just loved this. This book is about Darrow, and he is the lowest of the low in a world full of colours. He digs on Mars to extract this helium-3, which is to help make Mars inhabitable. He believes that the Reds are the only people currently on Mars, building and digging this to make a better life, to make Mars habitable for other people to come, other colours to come, and then they can all live and reap the rewards. And unfortunately, he has been deceived, and after a big event, Darrow realises that all is not as it seems, and he begins his start to incite a revolution. And it's really good, it's really good. I don't want to say too much in case you haven't read it, because the bits that I could say would spoil it for you, and I think that's really important to and to get to these stages on your own. So I really enjoyed this. I definitely recommend it to people that like a bit of dystopian, who like you know, they say on the front Ender's Game and the Hunger Games, and yes, but this is very gory and gruesome at times. There's a lot of blood and guts, and I liked that he didn't shy away from that. I thought that was really good and a good part of the story. The only thing I wasn't so keen on in this is there's sort of a medieval feel towards the last end of the book, and I just felt I wanted a little bit more from that, a little bit more sort of forward-thinking technology. But I can see why he's done it. So anyway, I really enjoyed it, and so much so that I've already gone out and bought the next one. Oh, that's a spoiler for my next book haul, which will be coming up soon because I have no willpower. But I really enjoyed this and I gave it 4 stars. Oh, I forgot. I read another book this week. I read Made For You by Melissa Marr. I read it on my Kindle and I got it from NetGalley as a review copy. This book is about Eva. She wakes up in hospital. She's been involved in a hit and run. Someone has tried to run her over, and basically the plot really starts going from there. It's set in a sleepy town in North Carolina where everyone knows each other. You've got the sort of the residents who are sort of higher up the food chain, so to speak, and Eva is at the top. This book is told from a few different perspectives, Eva's being one, and another one of the main ones being Judge, who is her stalker, and the whole plot is unravelling who this person is and why they're doing what they're doing. And there's a little bit of supernatural in there, because when Eva wakes up from getting knocked over in the hit and run, she has some abilities that when she touches people, or when people touch her, she can see how they're going to die, if they're going to die. So that's very interesting. I liked the concept of this book. I just didn't feel like there was much depth to the characters at all. I felt there was a little bit too much emphasis on looks with Eva. She suffers some scarring on her face during the accident, and she seems to be just way too worried about looks, and yeah, I just too much, I think. In even before that, I felt there was too much emphasis on that. However, I think if you liked the Wicked Lovely series by Melissa Marr, I think you'd like this. I think it's possibly aimed at a slightly younger teen audience, the lower end of the young adult spectrum, and I think those books for me just now just aren't enough. Obviously I'm old and grey and grey, but I do like YA, but I think this was sort of set a bit further down, which probably wouldn't be for me normally. However, I enjoyed the plot. It was an okay story, so I gave this one 3 stars. So I am also about 50 pages into Oryx and Crack by Margaret Atwood. This is the book for the BookTube Reading Buddies this month. I'm really excited to get to this finally, because I've always wanted to read it, and it is going to be my book with green on the cover, so I'm hoping to finish this before the end of the Read-O-Rama readathon, and that means I would have hit 3, I think, of the 7, or 4 of the 7, which is really good because I wasn't sure I was going to do it at all, so I'm pleased with that. And this is a first book in a trilogy by Margaret Atwood, which is about a sort of post-apocalyptic world. It's meant to be brilliant. It's been picked up by HBO to make into a series, so I'm really excited. I want to read this before that comes out. Then the other books that I'm looking to read over the next week, I'm doing a buddy read with Nicole at Dogbrain, and we are reading Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. This is quite a long book, so I'm looking forward to just really enjoying this. And then if I get through that, I'm also going to be looking at picking up Bonk, which is my non-fiction of the month by Mary Roach. Can you guess what it's about? And also finally, if I do have time, The Sin Eater's Daughter by Melinda Salisbury. And I've got a few other books as well, but they're the ones that I'm currently looking at. Anyway, that's what I read this week and what I'm reading next week. Thank you for watching. Comment and tell me what you're reading. Have you read any of these? And as always, let's chat. Okay, bye for now, BookTube.